Alright, so I'm on this 2008 Suburban. I already got the launch into it. So we're just going to read codes. It's 2008 Suburban with the 5.3 in it. Got the p0449 evaporator emission vent solenoid control circuit. So we'll go in and back out of here and go to special. No. Actuation test, output control, and then we'll pick Evap system, and we'll go to the Evap solenoid here. And what we're going to do is command that on, and see right now it's off, and you can click and command it on, and I'm not hearing anything in the back. Normally, you know, it's a solenoid, so normally you would hear it click in the back where it's located, telling you that it's open and closing. I'm not hearing anything right now. So it should be a 2-wire, one going to the ECM and one going to battery plus or a fuse or whatever. So I'm going to go pull the wiring diagram real quick, even though I kind of know what it is. And then we'll go back there. We'll take the launch back there with us and see if we have a wiring problem or if we just have a dead solenoid. Alright, so right here we got the Evap solenoid, and we got one going over to the ECM, which is should be a white wire, and then we have a red white that goes up here to a fuse under the hood of the car. So I'm not going to check that fuse yet. I'm just going to go down there at the connector because I got a feeling it's just a dead solenoid. So we'll get under there and control the solenoid on and off and make sure it's got voltage coming into it, and just go from there. Alright, for some reason my mic stopped working on my camera on the video from this point on. But all I'm doing right here is coming back here and toggling the solenoid on and off to see if I can hear if the solenoid's activating or not. So if you go in your Evap control and go to output controls on Evap, you can control that solenoid to turn it on and off. And what I'm doing right here is just toggling it back and forth, and there's no sound coming out at all. So now I got it back probed, and we're going to check and see if it's getting power, if it's even getting power down to here, if it's the power problem or if it's a solenoid problem. I'm still suspecting that it's a solenoid problem, so we'll check it out. Alright, so you can see here we switched to the OTC. I was having problems with the Vantage. We had battery voltage down to the solenoid. The battery's a little bit low from the key being on, but we're going to put a battery charger on it. It should be a little higher than that, but we do have voltage. Alright, so what I'm doing right here, I'm just plugging the new vent solenoid in and just listening for the sound. We know we don't have a power problem going down to it, but just before I hook everything up, I just want to verify that it's working. So I'm just toggling on and off with the launch there, and you can't hear it because for some reason my mic went out, but when I toggle it on and off, that solenoid, the new one, is making noise, so it's working, and there's no issues with it at all. And then here's that new wiring harness. If you don't have the updated vent solenoid, you may have to buy this wiring harness separate. It's like $15, I think, at O'Reilly's, and it'll transfer it over to the newer style vent solenoid here, allow you to use it. So anyway, all is good on this. So I'm just going to go ahead and install this real quick. There's not a whole lot to show on that. So I got the old one disconnected from the gas tank, and you can see here there's a big split in the line. The first time I scanned this truck a few weeks ago, it said it had a big and small evap leak. So between the bad solenoid and this big split in the line right here, you can see this thing had all kinds of issues. And this still uses the old style hose. The new one comes with the plug-in style. It's just one long piece instead of two pieces here. And anyway, the new one's a little bit more improved. Alright, so here we got the engine cover off, just pull it up and out of the way. And then on these the older style GMs had the Evap service port right here where my finger's at. These newer ones, I guess 08 and up, don't have it. So I just disconnected the pressure solenoid and opened that line up and kind of put my smoke machine in there. Yeah, you just kind of make do with what you got now since they took all the service ports away. It's kind of ridiculous, but that's what we're dealing with. So right now I got the solenoid off. So you would expect to see smoke coming out of the vent if that's off like that. So we'll go back and check that and see if there's any smoke. Alright, so we're back behind the truck now, back where the vent solenoid's at. You can see there's smoke pouring out of the outlet on the vent solenoid. So that's what you'd expect if you have it off. It should be coming out of there, and we're just kind of looking for any other leaks. Right now, there's your vent canister right there, right by the gas tank. There's nothing leaking out of there yet, but we'll turn it on, and then the smoke should stop pouring out of there. And then you can check and make sure there's no other leaks anywhere else. But we're just kind of testing it right now, and it looks like it's working pretty good. So we'll turn it on now. Alright, so we're just going to click and turn the solenoid on, so that should close it off. So if we wait a few seconds here and go back to the back, there shouldn't be any more smoke coming out of there if the vent solenoid is working correctly. And you can see here, it's really helpful to have a scan tool with bidirectional control like that to diagnose and look for problems on these Evap systems. Without that, it's pretty hard to figure out where it's leaking or what's going on. So anyway, it's on right now, so we'll go back to the back and check, and there should not be any more smoke coming out of that vent, and it should be sealed up, and we'll look for other leaks while we're back there. Alright, so we're back under the truck, and you can see it's clear under here. There's no smoke. I'm looking right now at the vent. So you can see here's the vent solenoid, and there's nothing coming out of there. It's only been 30 or 40 seconds since I turn that on, so that closes it up and allows pressure to build in the system. So if there was any other leaks anywhere, we should see smoke. And that's the vapor canister right here next to your gas tank on the other side of your axle. That's kind of a hot spot for evap leaks, so you always want to check that. If you got a smoke machine hooked up, just kind of check all your lines, make sure there's no smoke anywhere. Check all your connections right there by the evap canister, and just kind of follow through and make sure. It's usually pretty obvious unless you got a real tiny leak. If you have a real tiny leak, you may be able to get a light and kind of shine it through there, and that'll kind of reveal the smoke if it's a really small leak, but normally you can see it pretty easily. So it looks good. Alright, so I went ahead and cleared the codes already, took it for a short drive. This particular code here is coming back right away, and you can see here there's no code stored. And the system's sealed, so I think we're good on this code. And this vent solenoid is about $70 to $80–$90 at O'Reilly's and parts stores. We got this one on Amazon. Here's the part number for it. It's an AC Delco part. And I think it was around $32, $33, something like that, with tax. And this isn't a super critical code here. So if you want to save some money and wait a few days and order on Amazon, I don't think it's not going to hurt your car or anything if you do something like that instead of going to AutoZone or whatever and spending 2 to 3 times more for it. Sometimes Amazon's a good source for parts, especially OEM parts compared to even the OEM. So on something like this, obviously we're using a launch here, which is expensive, and you got a smoke machine. I know the average person may not have a smoke machine or a launch, but you could use the same basic premise diagnostic. If you get that p0449, you should be able to hear that solenoid turn on and off. From your you should have power going back to it. And I know obviously if you have a regular scan tool, you won't be able to turn it on and off. But if you have power going back to it and you're getting this code, then there's a pretty good chance that this solenoid is bad, and they're known to go out often. So I don't know. I mean, I don't want to suggest that you just change parts without testing, but if you do have power going back to it and you're getting this code, then there's probably a pretty good chance that your vent solenoid is bad. And sometimes that'll be accompanied by an evap leaks. This one had a small and large evap leak the first time I scanned it a few weeks ago, and you saw that the vent solenoid was bad and it wasn't operating. And then we had that rip in the line, or the line that was cracking. So those were 2 places for sure that were a concern, and we're glad, and then your new vent solenoid comes with that line. So that's pretty much it for this. We'll get this hoopty back to the owner, and hopefully you'll like and subscribe. And